So your beloved chaperone recently fired her manager, and a lot of people are wondering whether or not she's completely off the hook. Well, I don't have her personal management agreement in front of me, but I can generally tell you how personal management agreements work. I can also tell you when to find a personal manager, the qualities to look for in a personal manager as well. Okay, you guys, so let's do this. So first of all, my name is Bobby Borg, helping musicians turn their art into more successful business. I'm a professor, 7-time author, and also a former major label independent and DIY recording artist who had a number of different managers. Everyone from the biggest that work with people like Metallica all the way down to, the car salesman hustle type guy that does a whole lot of promising to you and never goes anywhere. So I've experienced the full gamut. So I'm coming at you with a lot of experience here. Okay, you guys? So first of all, let's talk about when to get a personal manager. Whether or not you like to hear this or not, you don't decide on that. Typically speaking, they will find you. They'll look at the numbers you're doing. They'll look at the content you're creating. And when you're creating a little bit of a buzz and when you're making a little bit of progress, that's typically speaking when the personal managers of any clout or of larger clout are going to start stepping up. Now, the reason behind this is because managers typically get paid by a commission of what you make. And the last time I did the math, if you're making zero, then 20% of zero is zero. There's really low incentive there, okay? Now, sometimes you will find the bigger manager that has the bigger clients and wants to discover someone new up and coming, and they might, reach out to you at a sooner level potentially. But generally, the people that that reach out to you in the very beginning might be managers in training, maybe people that are just graduating from a music industry program or people that are working as interns or something of that nature. And they might want to work with you and they might want to come up with you. But keep in mind, if you work with these types of people, they're not going to have as many connections, obviously, and they lack experience, obviously, as well. But they can be very, very valuable. Okay. But probably the most valuable manager is you. It's self-management in the beginning. Okay, you guys? I don't want to preach to you, but it's all about attracting the attention of those that can help you by first helping yourself. All right, now let's move on to the qualities that you should look for in a personal manager. Obviously, someone that really believes in your vision, really gets you and really believes in you and really wants to be there for you because they're a big fan themselves, okay? I personally, as an artist, think that's extremely important. Some managers will tell you that's not important. To me, that is important as an artist. And probably to you guys, that's important as well, right? The second thing would be, do you trust them? Are they just talking a big talk, giving you lots of promises and stuff to kind of reel you in? I personally do not like those managers. I like reality checks. I like somebody to tell me, you know what, your music is good as promised, but we need to collab with people. We need to work with people. We need to get this going. I don't want people to candy coat things and to lie to me and tell me how great I am, right? But, some people want a balance, a little bit of candy coating, but a little bit of, of being that coach. But generally speaking, you have to trust them. Right? I think that's very, very important. And someone that has a work ethic, because keep in mind that when you are signing a personal management agreement, you're kind of giving it over to them and you want to know that they're hustling for you. You don't want 5 months, 6 months, a year and a half to go by of your very, very valuable life. So these are some important things to think about. Now let's get into the contracts, okay? The first thing to keep in mind is that it's an exclusive agreement. That basically means that when you sign with them, you are signing with them. And they can have 15, 20, 30 clients, but you can only have them. So you have to really believe that they're going to champion you and they're going to do what you want them to do. And you have to fight, right, against all of the other artists that they're working for their attention. Now, in my case, I was signed to a management company that was dealing with Metallica. Who do you think got the attention, Metallica or me? So, that could really, truly suck, right? When you sort of feel like you're not the important person in the management company. But these are some of the things and these are the realities of it that you have to think about. So make sure to find a personal manager that really is championing for you, and keep in mind it's exclusive. The second thing that you want to think about is what's called a key person clause. And you have to pretty much ask for this. Is the person that is managing you the key person that's managing you? That basically means that they are primarily the ones that are working for you. And if they are any part of a firm and they leave, then you can get out of the contract and leave as well. So you're not stuck with some other management company and some other manager. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that your manager is going to come over to your house every day and go to your birthday parties and stuff like that. You might end up talking to some lower level people and maybe even interns at time to time as well. But you want to know that the important person that's your manager is that key person, and you can call them when you really need to, and they're going to be there to talk to you. The third thing to maybe think about is the term of the agreement. Personal management contracts work in terms. They can either be years, which are typically 1, maybe 3, 5 years. In some cases, I had months. I had a 6-month personal management agreement. Or they work in what's called album tour cycles. So you do an album, you go on tour. You do an album, you go on tour. And those are the cycles. However, these days, because so many people are making singles, the album tour cycle thing doesn't work as much anymore. All right. So it's typically going to be on years. All right. Now, that being said, there's also performance guarantees that are attached to those years. So within 1 year, they have to do this, or within 3 years, they have to do this, or within 5 years, you have to be making this type of money, or within 1 year, you have to have a major label recording agreement, or within 2 years, you have to have a merchandising contract, types of that thing. And the performance guarantees need to be reasonable, obviously, in all fairness to the personal manager, but they can be established so that in essence, if after a year you look at it and you're like, well, we're not where we really want to be, let's shake hands and go our separate ways. You have that in writing. All right. Now, in some cases, personal managers will just have an agreement where they just sort of say, look, this is the commission we're going to take. This is kind of our plan for you, and let's just go to work. And when you're not happy anymore, we're not going to work with you. And when we aren't happy with you, we're not going to work. Let's shake hands. And it's simple. And it's not 40-page contracts. It's just simply like, when we're not happy and when this isn't working anymore, everybody just can walk, right? So oftentimes personal managers have those types of agreements with their clients, and artists have those agreements with their personal managers. But it really is a case-by-case situation, okay? Now, let's move on to the commissions, the important stuff, right? How much do they make? Well, personal managers get paid on all of your money. That basically means not just from the recording deals, but also from the publishing deals, also from touring, also from merchandising, also from sponsorships, right? For anything associated with your career. Now, also keep in mind that they're paid on the gross, which is everything, except for monies that pass through your hands for the purpose of paying expenses, like deficit tour support, producer advances, the recording fund, things of that nature, because you're taking that money and using it to pay for something else, so they shouldn't actually be commissioning it. Okay. Now, you need to actually even write these things into the contract, which could be a very, very long list. Now, sometimes personal managers will get paid on the net, particularly when it comes to touring. Now, again, this is a case-by-case basis, but think about this here. If I go on tour and I'm out for 3 months and I'm busting my butt and I'm sweating in a van, and I come back and I find out my personal manager is making more than me because they got paid on the gross, I'm not going to be happy. So sometimes when it comes to touring, personal manager will take it on the net, okay? Sometimes personal managers will do what's called exclusions. Let's just say you're a model or you're an actor and you already established this before you actually enter into a personal management contract. Should they get paid on money for things that you've done before they even came around? You can have what's called an exclusion, which says no, they cannot. Otherwise, they may be able to. So, for example, in my instance, I was doing drum clinics, I was writing drum books, and I said, should you get paid on this stuff if you haven't been around for the last 7 years? And they agreed, no, unless we actually get you a book deal, or unless we get you some sort of clinic deal. By the way, this is my book, Business Basics for Musicians, and everything I'm talking about today is in this book, so you should definitely pick this up. All right, you guys. And then finally, sometimes there's what's called deferred royalties. And what that basically means is if you're doing a show at the Whiskey for $50, they're not going to take their 20% commission and say, hey, where's my $10? You know? So oftentimes they'll say, until you're making a certain amount of money, we're not going to commission. And maybe we'll, you know, if we invest or a little bit of money here and there, or we got some expenses for things we put out for you, we'll keep receipts and we'll take it once you're making a certain amount of money. But all of these things are very, very important to discuss. And even more important is what happens after the term of the agreement, okay? Which brings us to, you know, Chappelle Roan firing her manager. What happens next? You know, is it just like that? Or does the personal manager still get paid? Well, listen to this and listen very carefully. Personal managers get paid on all of the deals that they negotiate during the term of the agreement or substantially negotiate during the term of the agreement after the agreement. Let me say that again. Personal managers get paid for all deals that they negotiate or substantially negotiate during the term of the agreement, comma, after the term of the agreement. That means that, let's just say during the term of the agreement, I help you sign a 5-record deal. Right? But then we do 2 records and then the term of my agreement is up and you fire me and there's still 3 more records to do. Well, I still get paid on those 3 records, even though I'm not even there anymore, in addition to the other 2 records I did with you when I was there. Now, you know, some people might say, the managers will say that's fair, but of course the artist is going to say that's not fair because first of all, you're not there. And then secondly, I have to pay a new manager 20%. I'm paying you 20%. That's 40%. That's only almost half of all my money, right? So usually what's established is what's called post-term provisions, also known as sunset clauses. And they're called sunset clauses because they're intended to lower the royalty gradually after the term of the management agreement. Okay, so it could work out any way that you decide to negotiate it. It could be, look, for those 2 records that you did with us, we'll pay you 10% after, then 5%, then 3% over the terms of the next 15 years, let's just say, right? And then the 2 records, you know, that we're going to do on our own, you have nothing to do with. So you're excluded from those altogether. Right? Or it could be worked out in a number of different ways. But keep in mind, this is a negotiation and both parties have to agree. Now, here's the problem, right? It is a sensitive issue, obviously. It's like a prenuptial agreement. When you get married, you don't tell someone, you're so beautiful, you're like an angel that came down from heaven, but sign right here so you don't get all my shit, you know, when we divorce. You know, it's not very romantic. It's not very attractive. And to a manager that comes in working with you guys that are watching this right now, what's the incentive for them to come in and say, hey, I'm going to work with you. I'm not going to get paid for about 2 years or 3 years. And when you blow up, you're going to fire me and you're not going to want to pay me. So what is the incentive for a personal manager? There isn't one, right? So you have to be careful about how you approach this. And you have to be just very fair about this too, as well, and work out something that works for both parties. Okay, you guys. So my name is Bobby Borg, helping musicians turn their art into more successful business. If you want to know more about this stuff, be sure to click on the next video. And don't forget to go out and get your copy of Business Basics for Musicians. Okay, you guys. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.